FC Copenhagen versus Manchester City. Now, we got to give a shout out to Copenhagen because they managed a pretty difficult group when you think about it, all things considered. They had Bayern Munich, they had Manchester United, or this version of Manchester United, which is a little different than years past under Sir Alex Ferguson. And then you had Galatasaray, who are not easy to play against, especially when they're playing at home in Istanbul. But Copenhagen gets through the group and does it in some real style, got some really surprising results. They were actually plus 600 to get out of their group, and they found a way to do that. So if you bet on that, congratulations to you. You should probably be on the show. We should be watching you instead of you watching us. But, John, I'm going to come to you first. How are you feeling about this matchup? Because it feels, on paper, Man City should run away with this.
Yeah, I feel so bad for Copenhagen. They had an incredible run in the group stage just to end up drawing Manchester City. It could not have been a worse draw for them, and also could not have been an easier draw for Manchester City, on paper at least. But when I'm looking at this game and I'm trying to find an angle to bet it at, I think this game is going to be a bit trickier than people realize, because Copenhagen playing in this first leg, you know that at home they are going to absolutely park the bus as hard as they can and play for points out of this. If this game miraculously somehow ended 0-0, maybe 1-1, that is a tremendous result if Copenhagen can get a point out of this first leg. Sorry, score aggregate. Can just get a goal or an even matchup out of this first leg here. But the way I'm betting this is actually a little bit confusing. It's a bit of a same game parlay. I'm taking Manchester City on the money line, and I'm going to parlay that with under 4.5 goals. I do not think this will be an explosive game. I do not think this will be a game that sees a lot of goals or a lot of action. I'm looking at kind of like a 1-0, 2-0 scoreline for City. They should have enough to take care of business, but they're not going to exhaust themselves running up the scoreboard in this first leg.
Okay, as a reminder, these two teams played against each other in the group stages last year, and it was actually 0-0 in Copenhagen. Now, in fairness, City had a red card pretty early in that game, and they had their chances as well, and Copenhagen held on. But this core group of players, Martin, does have that experience of, hey, we've been through this before. We can hold them off again. But are we going to really see that happening? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, you're right, Jimmy. These teams are no strangers to one another, and it did finish 0-0 when they met in Copenhagen last season. But it also finished 5-0 to Manchester City when they played at the Etihad, and that's the game that I'm looking at to draw inspiration from when making my picks on this game. That first match in Manchester was a really lopsided clash. Man City absolutely dominated them. I don't think they really put much effort into the game that took place in Copenhagen. They already kind of were in a very strong position in the group then, and I think they rested a few players. I seem to remember them taking Haaland off at half time. So I just think Man City should be too strong for FC Copenhagen in this game. Danes do have a really strong home record, but I just think they're going to be outclassed by the reigning European champions here. I think they'll be fired up on Sunday. So I'm giving Man City a minus 1.5 handicap. I think they can win it by 2 clear goals. Hopefully both of our picks pay off.
No, I love that. That's a great bet. However, for me, I'm not the guru, I'm not Bucket, but I'm here and I want to join in the party as well. There's something to be said about what Copenhagen has to do in this first leg. If they want to have any chance, at some point they're going to have to take some risks going forward and getting a goal in this game. And they've been very good at home in this competition, especially this season. They beat Man United. Now, again, it's Man United 4-3 and had to come back. They've got a little spirit to them that I really appreciate. So I'm actually going for a 0-0 draw at halftime. And I believe plus 150. And I say that because I think that Copenhagen has to keep it close, maybe not exposing themselves too much. And then in the second half, maybe trying to get a goal or trying to hit them on a set piece. But to your point, Martin, I feel like Manchester City might not get out of first or second gear in this game, knowing that they're going to go back to Manchester in leg 2 and they can go and just wipe the floor with them then. So I wonder about the approach leading into this one. And I'm going to go with the spirit of Copenhagen to at least keep it even at the break. And I like that value a lot at plus 150. So now I want to pivot, though, to Erling Haaland. You brought him up, Martin. I want to talk about the overall goal scorer, the Golden Boot winner of this competition. Erling Haaland has 5 goals, and Morata has 5 goals, and Griezmann has 5 goals. Do you think they're going to end up, Martin, I'll come right back to you on this. Do you feel like Haaland is going to be the one that's on top at the end? We got Harry Kane, 1 behind him, Jude Bellingham, 1 behind him, Kylian Mbappe has 3. So what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think it's hard to look past Haaland. As you say, he's level now with Morata and Griezmann at the top. Can't see those two keeping pace with him. I think the one that really is in the rearview mirror is Harry Kane. But given the relative form of Bayern Munich and Man City, I think Haaland's got a better chance of... Sorry, John. I think Haaland's got a better chance of going deep into this competition. I just think they can beat anyone in Champions League. I think they'll go deep into it. And obviously he's not been playing lately. He has had his injury problems, but if he starts playing every game, I think he's a lock for that top scorer. Plus 200 does look like good money to me. Maybe Kylian Mbappe at plus 600 as a longer shot, but yeah, I can't see any of the others cashing him.
John, are you going to stand for this Harry Kane slander? Because I don't know. Plus 225. I will say Jude Bellingham, I wouldn't mind throwing $10 on that because the guy does score clutch goals, and Real Madrid always seems to find clutch goals in this competition. But John, let's get back to the slander of Harry Kane.
Yeah, I'm actually going to stand for the Harry Kane slander because I'm just not confident in my boys right now. This Bayern Munich squad has left me very disappointed, not only domestically, but even in Champions League. As we mentioned before, they did have that 0-0 draw to Copenhagen. It's a tough team to back right now. One thing I will say, I agree with Jimmy on that Jude Bellingham line. He's only a goal behind, and at plus 1,400 for a guy who was the top scorer for Real Madrid, for Real Madrid's team that's probably going to make it to the semifinals, if not the finals, I think it's absolutely worth a cup of coffee on a plus 1,400 line.
Yes, Buckets agreed with me. I absolutely love it.